Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog, joined alongside by Adam Peddle. Today, everybody, we have the first Bad for Baseball episode ever taking place in what I'm going to be referring to as the postseason, because postseason officially starts tomorrow. However, it technically starts today with the ramifications of what is being played right now over there in the National League. We got a big-time battle going down between the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves. We're going to talk about that, the implications of that, but also what's happening in the American League as well, because that entire side of the bracket is set. One of those teams is going to be representing the American League in the World Series. We're going to make our selections and also discuss, is the American League MVP or likely MVP better than definitely the National League MVP? Those are the conversations happening right now. Aaron Judge greater than Shohei Ohtani.
Question mark.
Exactly. Is that the case? What are the arguments there? We're going to break all that down and more. This should be a really fun episode because we finally have the postseason bracket, man. What are your thoughts on
kind of the postseason bracket?
True. I can't jump the gun.
I'm kind of blue-balled because I've been thinking about this episode in particular, the Monday, being like, okay, we're going to have our postseason bracket set up. We can do a whole episode which is break down the postseason. We actually can't do that. We have to break it down in half.
Yeah.
And then the next episode that comes out, we might already know who's going to the DS.
That's true.
So it's like, it's going to move fast here on Bad for Baseball. So like every episode, we got to kind of catch up. But it is what it is, and we're just going to have to roll with it. But it makes for a very interesting postseason.
100%, man. 100%. I mean, honestly, it's like, yes, I'm blue-balled, but at the same point, it's like, would I have it any other way? Like you look at what's going on right now, and it is an additional wild card series, effectively, right? Like that's what this means. One team out of the Arizona Diamondbacks, the New York Mets, the Atlanta Braves, they are not getting on a flight. They're just staying where they are. They're staying home, and that's going to be that. And they're not going to know potentially until like 8 p.m. this evening, so this will be very exciting.
And I think the scariest, and we'll talk about it more later, but I think the scariest part of that whole matchup is the Arizona Diamondbacks fans watching both of these games.
Right.
I'm going to be terrified. Because you can't even control.
Nothing.
I mean, not like being a fan, you control it anyways, but you can't even have your team do anything about it. It's not up to you, which is scary. We'll talk about that more in great detail a little later, because by the time this podcast comes out, they may already be halfway through game one. We might already know.
Yeah.
Kind of have an idea of what's going on.
That's very true.
The more important thing is that game two, but we might already have a little bit of a picture.
For those of you who are watching this a little bit later today or on Tuesday or anything like that, comment down below what happened. Tell us what the hell went down, folks. Let's look over at the American League, though, before we get into those conversations. The bracket is all set. It is the red-hot Detroit Tigers taking on the Houston Astros in a bout to see who will go up against the Cleveland Guardians. On the other side of things, you got the Kansas City Royals, who have been kind of struggling a little bit, going up against another struggling team, the Baltimore Orioles. So it's kind of the tale of two different storylines here, where it's like, you had the dead in the water. Both of these teams at one point were dead in the water in this season, Detroit and Houston. Detroit to a much greater extent than Houston, but both of them at one point looked like this was it. We're not making postseason. They are both here right now and kind of surged in the second half. And then on the other side of things, you got the Baltimore Orioles and the Kansas City Royals, who had like a really hot first half and then have kind of just like stumbled their way into this thing in the last month, and they are fighting to see who's up against the New York Yankees. What are your thoughts on just all this entire bracket as a whole right now?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think if you were to predict this preseason, everyone would think you're crazy. Tigers and Royals in the postseason, who the hell's predicting that, right?
Yeah.
Not me. But, hey, both of them had that kind of label of they were a hopeful team. Maybe is this the year where we finally break out of our elongated postseason slump? And they finally did. They're back here. Now, Detroit Tigers, let's start with that Tigers and Astros series, because, we've been talking about the Tigers absolutely glazing the crap out of them. They've been the hottest.
We should.
The hottest team in baseball. But, man, what a worse matchup. I can't think of another worse matchup than getting the Houston Astros for your wild card series, because as we know, Houston Astros are an absolute juggernaut. And like we've been saying all season about the Houston Astros, man, like I don't want to run into the Astros. They're
Right.
the world. That's their home. We were just looking at Shohei Ohtani because he's the longest standing Astro player on this team. He has 103 postseason games.
Yes.
That's almost an entire season of baseball being played in October for Shohei Ohtani. I don't want to face a team that has been there and done that and done it multiple times in the last decade of baseball. So for an amazing story like the Tigers, running into Houston is no matter how hot they are, I wouldn't want to run into those guys.
Here's the thing. I do hear what you're saying, and I think that there's a lot of great points to that. But I'm gonna spin this in the positive standpoint. You only have to play, or you only have to beat Houston twice,
right?
To make it to wherever it is that you're going. Whereas alternatively, let's say that you happen to run into them in the ALDS or the ALCS, you got to beat them a hell of a lot more. You are the hottest team in baseball right now, and you only have to beat the Houston Astros twice. And if you can do that, again, it's a very hard thing to accomplish because Houston's going to have the home field advantage, and that is a very important thing in the wild card because there is no traveling back and forth. It's just, you're there.
You're
yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's your stadium, your rules, so that is an advantage for sure. But if you can get through the Houston Astros in the wild card, I mean, I know that this Detroit Tigers team and the fan base and everything like that is already believing. But if you can do that, then why the fuck not you?
Right.
Seriously.
No.
Why not you if you can do that?
Well, obviously we know they're the hottest team in baseball, but the pitching staff has been a huge part of that. Of all the postseason teams, and I'm also looping in Diamondbacks, Phillies, and the Braves in here as well because we don't really know. But they're the third best team in ERA of all the postseason teams. The one thing is their offense is the third worst. So they're going to have to get to Framber Valdez, and they're going to need Tarik Skubal, who's going to be pitching in Game 1, obviously, to put up an absolute gem. They got to be able to win that series, which they have done against good teams in this last little bit of run.
Yeah.
So they got to do it again. But, yeah, if they can go through that, then they would have the Guardians series matched up next. And I'd pick the Tigers over the Guardians just based on the way they're playing. They kind of remind me of similar teams. Great pitching, can have some good offense from time to time. I'd go Tigers there.
I just feel like it's like you're running into your boss battle early, you know.
That's the thing.
And again, like it is going to be one hell of a fight. But if you can dethrone the Houston Astros, I know they're not the reigning World Series champions or anything like that right now, but I mean they've obviously won it a hell of a lot recently, and they are a very, very talented team. But if you can knock them off, then I genuinely think like the belief that you are going to have in your team, in your organization, like that's going to be enough to propel you further into this entire thing. You're going to be then going into Cleveland, but a Cleveland team that will have been sitting for a couple days and doing all that whole thing, and you're feeling like a fucking $1 million after go rolling through Houston and getting some wins there. So I just think that momentum, like it's like obviously you could get completely knocked here and it's gonna kill you, but if you can do it, like the momentum that it's gonna provide might be enough to then make one hell of a run. So I really am cheering on these Detroit Tigers. All that being said, though, if I had to bet my life on it, if I had to put money on it, I'm going to take the fucking guy that has 103 postseason appearances, postseason games. Please, somebody comment down below. We were talking about this prior to hitting record on this whole thing, but I don't think that there is any other active player that would have had more postseason games played than Shohei Ohtani. Maybe there is out there like... Verlander?
No, but he's a pitcher.
That's
It's
right.
different.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. Yeah, exactly. So,
position player wise, I don't. I mean, Verlander might be the most active starting pitcher, or like Max Scherzer. But
right.
Yeah, not. Yeah,
like not actually showing up in the game.
Right,
like he might have been in there in the dugout.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like doesn't really count. Yeah, exactly. If you guys can find somebody who's done more time in the postseason than Shohei Ohtani, please let us know. But it feels like in terms of active players, anyways, he would be the guy, and 103 is a crazy amount. You look over there at Yordan Alvarez, who is just starting his career, it feels like. I mean, this guy's 26 years old. Yeah. He's got 58 games played in the postseason.
God. Maybe he'll take over Altuve eventually one day.
I think
if Houston continues to be
dominant. Dude, I mean, the fact that you have 58 games played in the postseason at age 26 years old is insane. His slash line, by the way, in the playoffs is incredible. He's got a 949 OPS.
Oh, my God.
I mean, that is what he does, though, just regularly. So.
Well, like, I mean, every single season he's played, he's gone to the postseason. Alvarez doesn't know what postseason doesn't feel like.
The only time, actually, that they haven't is 2020.
They didn't go to the postseason in 2020?
Well, maybe they did, but
maybe
he
was
wasn't
hurt.
there. Yeah, I'm just looking at his stuff right here.
They did go. I do see Jose Altuve went, but
so he must have been injured. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he must have not been there. But so he's been there in 2019, 2021, 2022, 2023. Yeah, pretty damn good postseason resume here from Yordan Alvarez. So again, this is why this is such an incredible bout for the Detroit Tigers, because if you can do it, like, I think this is actually a fucking franchise-altering wildcard series. Like, if you can do this, you walk into the even if you get knocked in Cleveland, you walk into free agency with a completely different mindset of, like, okay, like, we are ready to go.
I actually already think they're there, no matter what happens, because it's one of those things where they just bursted into the scene, and I think regardless of how they play in this postseason, they're gonna go into this free agency a lot different. I'd hope so. I mean, I don't really know their whole budgetary thing. I mean, they did go sign Baez a couple years ago. They did pay up for him. Granted, he sucks, so hopefully they make a little bit better decision making.
My
on the
understanding is like they can spend, but it's got to be like
the right spend.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the Toronto Blue Jays, like
lesser though, because we do go. I think we spend quite a bit. I would say.
Yeah, like I mean, they spent $140 million for Baez, who is our George Springer, and I guess both of them are doing bad. I guess that's a lesson. Don't buy middle-aged guys that. I mean, very different, because Baez has an attitude problem.
Well, Baez has, yeah, you're right. I mean, they're both terrible though. But
Springer cares, but he's just injured
bad.
and old.
He's just bad. Yeah, I mean, well, most of the time, yeah, investing over $100 million in 30+ age players is not the way to go. Really, like, there's a tier difference for me. I don't want to get too far off topic here, but like, there's a tier difference from like the good players and then your future Hall of Fame player.
Right.
Because like, if I don't know, Aaron Judge, for instance, immediately like became a free agent again. Like, you can have all my money.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing. Like, there's a couple guys that it's like, I'll just pay you. I don't care I actually don't care how old you are. I'm just gonna give you the money, and
exactly.
I know it will be fine.
Exactly.
Javier Baez clearly is not that guy. Neither is George Springer. But I do hope the best for the Detroit Tigers to finish off this conversation there. I assume, though, that if you had to put your money on it, you're taking Astros in this first series?
Absolutely, I'm taking Astros. I can't go against them. I mean, when was the last time they finished in the... I don't think they've been in the wild card series in a long, long time, actually.
That's true.
Because they always win their division. So,
yeah,
I mean, I'm always going to go Astros.
I know, until proven otherwise. And just think about that storyline if Detroit actually did pull this off. Like, that's
underdogs.
Headlines.
And they are
that's
the underdogs. I'll have them as the underdogs.
As they should be, man. Again, like, you're on the road. It's going to be very tough walking into that stadium and knocking off those guys. Let's move over and talk about the Kansas City Royals and the Baltimore Orioles one. Now, again, like, very different, I guess.
This matchup's kind of like a wet noodle. I'm not going to lie, guys.
That's a good way to put it.
A wet noodle.
Yeah.
Like, it's just very underwhelming. Because, look, I would have said in May, Orioles matchup's going to be like electric and fun. Even the Kansas City Royals, because they were so electric. But they have been bad. In their last 30 days, the Kansas City Royals are 12-18. 12-18.
I got something better for you, man.
Oh, let's hear it.
Yeah, this is I didn't even realize that this was the case. I was just scrolling. I didn't see their name. I couldn't find them. I kept scrolling. I have the hitting stats over the last 30 days, everybody. The hitting stats over the last 30 days.
I know the one.
And I was sorting it by OPS, and like, I found Baltimore. Baltimore's ranked 10th. So I mean, like, you're
and they started to pick it up a little bit after they clinched. They got a little bit excited, I think.
Exactly. Like, they started going a little bit. So I mean, like, 10th isn't gonna win you the World Series or anything, but maybe you can survive the storm type thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, where's Kansas City? Kept going, going, all the way down there. Rank 30th in OPS over the last 30 days, and it is by a wide margin. They have an OPS of 575. The 29th ranked team has an OPS of 614. So like you're worse than the 29th ranked team by roughly 40 OPS points. You're worse than the fucking Chicago White Sox, who are the worst team maybe in baseball history. This is not the way that you want to enter into the postseason, man.
No, I mean, look, I'm looking at the last 30 days. You got Bobby Witt, who's, this is cool off for Bobby Witt with an 815 OPS, batting average of 278. But very important everyday player guys. You traded for Tommy Pham. Ugh. OPS of 587. Salvador Perez, your catcher, hitting right behind Bobby, or in the cleanup spot. You got a 623 OPS. Michael Mass, who they play in every single day, 691. It's just not a good combination when a lot of your guys are getting cold at the right time. And I can go through everybody, but damn, there's some ugly ass OPSs here. And for me, like we were both talking, like we were kind of off the Oriole train. I'm not gonna lie, I'm hopping back on the Oriole train for this series because look, it doesn't matter. I've seen too many times if you can't even score a run, I don't care about the pitching matchup.
Yeah.
Kansas City's got good pitchers, but you got the Orioles. They're gonna throw Corbin Burns out there game one. If you can't even get a run, and based on this offense, they could shut you out game one.
Yeah.
And if that happens, well, obviously advantage goes to the Orioles, and I like that. I like that a lot better. That's at home for the Orioles.
Exactly right. Like that's the thing, like I do love all the old adages of pitching wins you championships and all that shit, and I agree with it. But you need to be able to put one run on the board to win, because it's like pitching can only take you so far. It's not like football where the defense can put up points.
Yeah, exactly.
Pitching cannot actually put up any points at all, right? You got to score eventually. And right now, you just can't really bet on them to do that.
I mean, I hate to bring up the Blue Jays because we guys we're Blue Jay fans, but like last year we scored one run in the wild card series.
Yeah.
Well, guess what happened when you score one run? You're gonna effing lose.
You don't win any games, right?
Literally.
The pitching actually, for those of you who don't know, the pitching was great.
Pitching was phenomenal.
Pitching was great.
Phenomenal.
I
think we gave up
three. I think it was three overall, right? Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't matter when you can't fucking score, right? And so I look over here at the pitching stats. And yes, Kansas City in the last 30 days are very good. They're ranked 6th. Baltimore Orioles are definitely less than that. They're ranked 19th. But again, I don't think it matters because, like you said, you are going to be running into the best of the best that Baltimore has to offer. And the best of the best in Corbin Burns, I would argue, is probably even better than whoever Kansas City's going to be rolling out game one.
Cole Reagans. He's good, but not like Corbin Burns.
I don't know if he's Corbin Burns level, right? So you're going to be dealing with the best that Baltimore has to offer. I might go so far to say that this is a 2-gamer for me, man. Yeah. I think that the way that Kansas City is walking into this, like similarly to Detroit, being here is a win for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, I'm sure Kansas City fans, like, they want to, they want to win. They want to be, they want to go further. But just being here overall has got to be a win for this team. I think Baltimore has more to prove. I think that they're walking in just a little bit better. And I think that you're going to end up with a Baltimore versus New York Yankees.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
ALDS for the official title of the American League East, best in the East.
Yeah. That's going to be a lot of fun. Do you want to go through like the ALDS potential matchups?
Well, if it was going to be Baltimore, New York, honestly, if that's the case, it's a real toss-up for me because I don't know how I feel about the bye. I know that we talked about this before, and I feel like this in most sports too. It's like I think that the bye is a blessing, but it's also a bit of a curse because you do just sit for that like additional,
especially in baseball too, because it's all about timing and rhythm, and it's like once you get out of that, it's like anything, right? Once you get out of your timing and rhythm, you start to feel a little off. Where I can see like kind of in football, you're used to taking longer breaks, especially if bye weeks happen and everything, and you're all hurt and like maybe your body actually needs that rest. Whereas in baseball, I don't think you need rest. You need to keep going.
I also think that there's an element of just like the mental aspect of things too, right? Where you are like, every person knows this, like when there's a big event coming up. Like when you have multiple days to just mull it over and to think about it and to think about like what are we going to do? How is it going to work? Right. Like there is that level of anxiety that starts to creep in, and even the best of the best, like you can't help yourselves. Right. It's like, we've got to win this. We got to do, and that's going to be cycling over and over again. Whereas Baltimore, or whoever moves on, you don't even have fucking time to think about it.
Right.
We're playing right now. We're playing today.
Yeah.
And then it's like we're going immediately into it. Whereas like New York or Cleveland, it's like That's the only thing that's going on in your mind right now is getting my best possible self ready to go for that day. And it makes the moment maybe even a little bit bigger than it needs to be.
Yeah, I hear that. However, I will say I think the Yankees are a different beast because you've got two superstar Hall of Fame players that I don't think it really matters to them. You know, I'm talking about Aaron Judge or Juan Soto, and then you look and you compare that with a Garrett Cole, who arguably a Hall of Famer abound, right? And then you've got a whole other rotation of guys. Nestor Cortez is killing it right now lately, and that whole rotation is starting to do really well. Bullpen is still shaky, but they've been good. I mean, they're seventh in ERA in the last 30 days, those Yankees, and regardless of the time off, I think they're going to be ready, and I honestly, they're one of my favorites to go pretty deep in this American League side.
Well, I do like I like the matchups that they're running into because they are dealing with the quote unquote wet noodle of Kansas City and Baltimore right now. So I think that ultimately you'd have to put your money on them to move past that. On the other side of things, it's a bit of a toss up for me. I think that maybe I'm sleeping a little bit on the Cleveland Guardians. I blame the media. I blame the media for not feeding me enough Cleveland Guardians content. Why was it only in the past couple weeks that I heard about Jose Ramirez doing what he's doing?
Right.
Why was it only in the past couple weeks?
Did he get it? 40-40?
I don't think he did. I
think
he missed it by one, which is sucks. Not that I would know if he did or not, because you don't feed me that content. Why was it in the past couple weeks that I only heard that Emmanuel Clase is the greatest closer to have ever played this fucking game? You know, I mean, this is the type of stuff that I need to be hearing about on a daily basis. So I do think I'm sleeping a little bit on the Cleveland Guardians, but it's just tough for me to bet against the Houston Astros.
Right.
Or alternatively, if Detroit does roll through Houston, I just think that they're a fucking wagon at that point, and I don't know if I could bet against them.
That's my decision maker right there. Again, it's all going to change after some time, but if Detroit wins, I think they're going to the ALCS. If Houston wins, they're going to the ALCS. So.
And this is us just completely underrating the literal second best team in the American League this year in the Cleveland Guardians. So again, that's partly our bad. I also blame the media, though, like I said. But I do agree with you that the Yankees are in a very nice position to go far in this postseason. Let's transition a little bit because you brought up Aaron Judge, and I know that we wanted to talk about this bit later, but I think that now's a pretty good time. People are discussing Aaron Judge's season, his incredible year, relating it a lot to Barry Bonds because he did just have a .700 slugging percentage. That's really tough to do. In fact, it is so hard to do that this is the first time that it's happened since Barry Bonds did it back in 2004. And as the internet has so kindly reminded us so many times, he did it with a little performance-enhancing drugs, whereas Aaron Judge has, at least to our knowledge, done it very clean. Now, all that being said, let's not forget about the Goldilocks balls. Let's not forget that the Yankees maybe get the occasional, nice treatment. However, Aaron Judge is still pretty damn good at baseball, and it's even gotten to the point where now people are saying that Shohei Ohtani, who? Aaron Judge is the better player out of these two guys. Tell me a little bit about what you feel about Aaron Judge's season as a whole, and then in relation to what Shohei Ohtani did over there in the National League.
I mean, I gotta agree with a lot of people out here. I mean, there's one comment. There's a Bad for Baseball post. There's one comment being like, on Aaron Judge's 701 slugging percentages from Talking Baseball. Just shout out to them. Comments saying Ohtani glazes are a different kind of special to say he's better. And I'm like,
sorry,
okay.
say that one more time.
Ohtani glazes are a different kind of special to say he's better. And take that as you will. You got Aaron Judge. Like I said, we know the 701 OPS slugging, but the OPS of 1.159, the on base of 458 leads all of baseball. The batting average as well of 322. He is, in my opinion, going to smash the unanimous AL MVP. Whereas on Ohtani, look, I think Ohtani gets the glaze he does. First of all, this year's been phenomenal with the bat. I can't take anything away from him. He obviously is going to win the MVP this year. But if we're just going to the tier, we're looking at these guys in their own tiers. I think Aaron Judge is a bit of a tier higher hitting-wise than a Shohei Ohtani. Again, not taking anything away. I mean, he's literally one, and in my opinion, Ohtani's number two. So the reason why, I mean, hell, you just look at the numbers. He does have that extra 100 OPS on top of Shohei Ohtani. Aaron Judge, he hits the ball well, he hits it for power, and he does it at just a little bit of a higher rate than Ohtani. I think Ohtani is a greater overall player because you're going to see when he pitches next year why he's the greatest player in all of baseball when he can do what he is doing with the bat, being the second best hitter in baseball. And the thing is, he's the second best hitter in baseball to a guy, Aaron Judge, which, we haven't seen this type of production since Barry Bonds. And that's why he's just so much better than everybody else right now. So, just comparing the hitter side of things, it's Aaron Judge. I can't argue with the stats. But in terms of greatest player overall, next year you'll see why Shohei Ohtani is the greatest when he pitches on the mound.
See, I think it's a lot closer for me, honestly, in a hitting standpoint. And I do certainly hear where everyone's coming from. When you just look at, the OPS as a whole, like, it is insane. It's stupid insane. But, I'm going through the production side of things here. I'm like, what season would I want on my baseball team? You got 12 more runs scored from Shohei Ohtani, 134 runs compared to Aaron Judge's 122. Shohei Ohtani has 17 more hits to Aaron Judge's 180. Aaron Judge has a ridiculous more amount of walks. I think a lot of that, though, has got to do with, one, he's got an incredible eyeball. Two, he does get intentionally walked a lot because the Yankees' rest of the lineup is pretty fucking bad. But, again, you got to give him credit. The guy walks a crazy amount. RBIs goes to Aaron Judge. 144.
I think it's pretty obvious. Ohtani bats in the top part of the order, whereas Judge bats in the cleanup and third spot of the order.
Right.
So obviously those stats are indicative of where they're batting.
Yes, but again, what would you rather have?
I want Aaron Judge.
I understand you do. I understand. Look, I understand that you do, man, but I think that the production stats are a lot closer than, maybe some people are giving them credit. Like, we're talking about 4 home runs of difference here. 4 home runs of difference and a difference of, 48 stolen bases of difference? More than that?
For sure.
Like 49 stolen bases of difference? Like, this is a lot, and I know that that's not representative of the OPS, right? And that's the thing. Like, if you were to take, 49 of Shohei Ohtani's singles or walks and turn them into doubles, is the OPS the same? It might be. I don't know. I actually don't know.
No,
it might be.
That'd be ludicrous. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, it gets to the point where it's like, okay, now it's more than that. So I don't know, man. I think that there is an argument for Shohei Ohtani because that's something that people aren't factoring in.
Ohtani's a better base runner. Hitter. If I'm just talking hitter, I want Aaron Judge at the plate. I want Aaron Judge at the plate.
I understand. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I like that all factors into it.
Yeah, but if we're just talking hitting. Greatest hitter of all time, because I thought that was the kind of question off top. I want Aaron Judge, base runner. Give me Ohtani, of course.
Okay, but
if we're talking overall, just player, which that's what I was kind of indicating with Ohtani being a pitcher as well. Give me Shohei Ohtani.
Sure. Okay. I guess for me it's and I understand that base running, but I would assume that base running factors into the overall offense. I was thinking more of an offensive producer right here, from both of them. Yes, if the only thing that we're doing here is swinging the bat, then sure, I guess Aaron Judge. But I think that I would almost argue it's ignorant to not include some of those other offensive statistics. Right. And this is not talking about the pitching because he didn't pitch this year. But I do think that those other offensive statistics are important, and when we're factoring in who is the better, who would you rather have in your lineup on a day-to-day basis?
Right. And then you'll also, it's a lesser extent, but you would also have to include in that the fielding because Ohtani doesn't field.
Actually, Judge is negative.
I know, and that's what I was going to say. Judge is actually a negative fielder.
Fielding.
-3 outs above average, which I think at some point they actually got to move Judge to a permanent DH spot, but there's Stanton that's taken up there.
Yeah. They don't even. I don't think they even want Stanton there, to be honest. I think it's if they could get rid of Stanton.
What did Stanton end up this year with? That's interesting because he did start off the year hot. Oh yeah, man, you're paying way too much money for a guy. He's above average hitter, but it's just too much money for a guy batting .233 with an OPS of .773. Just a little bit too much money for me. But at least it's not dreadful. At least it's not dreadful. But anyways, point being, you guys let us know in the chat, who would you rather have on your base? I guess it's two different questions. On your baseball team, like just general player, or hitter? Who would you want to have to plate? Because I think those are two different answers right there.
I do, but again, I want to make it very clear. I'm thinking offensive production. I'm not even factoring in Shohei Ohtani's pitching, because I would agree that, yes, if we're factoring in pitching, it's obviously Ohtani. It's not even close. It is obviously Ohtani. But I'm even arguing that regardless of the pitching, from an offensive output in your lineup every day,
including base running.
Of course, you have
defense.
To include base running, right? That's got to be a factor, right? Alejandro Kirk could have Aaron Judge's stats, but if the guy gets thrown out on the bases every time, that's a factor, whereas Ohtani, that doesn't happen. So, yeah, I'm saying lineup. Let us know in the chat.
All right, let's move on, guys. Let's actually talk about one more player while we're still kind of talking about American League side of things. Then we'll get into the NL side of things. But on the American League side, we glaze it up those Detroit Tigers. Tarik Skubal, I feel like no one was even talking about this race because it was so locked in. But the Triple Crown for the pitching side of things on the American League goes to Tarik Skubal, who will obviously win the unanimous Cy Young this year, as he leads all three categories in wins, in strikeouts, and in ERA. You've had him on your fantasy team, so you've been following along all year long. Tell me about Tarik Skubal and this just
it's great, dude. Whenever I get the green check mark next to his name, I know that it is going to be just an impeccable performance. Do we know the last person to have won the Triple Crown pitching-wise? When was that?
So technically in 2020 it was Shane Bieber, but no one's really counting that.
No, I don't think that's
I think
fair.
it was 2011.
It was. I'm looking at it right now. I have the numbers. 2011, Verlander.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, Verlander and Max Scherzer.
Yes.
In 23.
So okay, no. That's why I gotta correct myself right here. If Sale also wins the Triple Crown, it would mark the fourth time that a pitcher won the Triple Crown in each league.
Okay.
So that's what they're factoring in right there. I'm not sure when the last time just a pitcher overall won the Triple Crown. I do think that this is a more frequent award than a batter winning the Triple Crown. However, all that being said, though, these are still dumb statistics. Tarik Skubal, whenever he took the bump, was just a mastermind with the baseball. You're looking at a guy with a 2.39 ERA, 192 innings pitched, a whip of 0.922. Across the board, incredible. This is where, for me, WAR does an injustice. Because why does this guy have a 6.3 WAR, which is almost less than Dalton Varsho? Please let me know, because I think that's
Dalton
fucking...
Varshow's deep. He's the best defender in the league.
I fully respect that.
We saw Jonathan Kloss fumbling it out there when we were watching the final series.
Again...
That turns an out to a triple, No,
I understand. I do understand that. That being said, though, if it's Tarik Skubal or Dalton Varsho, who would you rather have? I know where I'm fucking going.
Yeah, I'm punting. Dude, you could go get a Michael A. Taylor and fill out the outfield if you really want the defense.
Seriously, right? But again, Tarik Skubal across the board, incredible season. This guy built off of his last year breakout, 80 innings pitched. Everyone was thinking, okay, that's a really solid 80 innings. Can this guy do it over the course of a full season? The answer is yes, and he can do it at an extremely high level. The Detroit Tigers did make the right call by not trading him away, even though, at the deadline, I'm sure you would have got... I don't know, a dumb thing.
Yeah, you just cannot trade that guy away.
But
man.
Yeah, you're right. This has got to be your franchise pitcher now. This is your ace. This is the league's ace this season, right? This is the best pitcher in baseball in 2024. Lock him down to a contract. See what he does in the postseason, right? See where he takes this squad in the postseason. I'm sure it's going to be quality. I'm sure he's going to give you a chance to win every single time that he takes the bump. But this is your franchise guy. What a year from Tarik Skubal. What a dude. 27 years old. Going to be 28 next year. It's something special. It's a special player.
And you're saying about postseason, he should dominate. And you know what the other side of that conversation is? If he doesn't, all the lights, they're bright when it mattered.
Sure.
He sucks. And that's just kind of the reality. It's like the whole Clayton Kershaw thing. Whenever he went to the postseason, he was garbage. And it's like...
That is true. Well, the thing about Clayton Kershaw, though, is he did it time and time and
That's
time.
the thing. After 1 year, you could be like, okay, it was just your first year.
Yeah.
Let's chill. But yeah, you're right. Kershaw.
Also, after 1 year, it's like he might only get one start. Or something, right? It's like, okay, well, that could have just been a bad start.
Yeah,
but
yeah. And the thing about Tarik Skubal too, like, he's pitched 192 innings this year, which is like way more than he's ever done in any year.
Yes, it is.
So it's like now that he's in the postseason, you're going to pitch hopefully into the 200 mark if he gets past the Houston Astros. So it's like, what will your arm be? Because that's also another factor. Like, people forget, like, it's not just that you're not clutching in the postseason. You could be literally dying out there.
Oh, I know,
like,
yeah.
Maybe you're just
and
not built for it.
That's the thing. Like, we assume that they're at the same level that they are every single day. But
hurting.
yeah, like it is absolutely, like, it's pain. Like I'm sure that they're hyped up on something, right, just to get them through it. And again, like, this is a lot of pitching for Tarik Skubal. I do think that it is kind of sad that we're looking at somebody who's going to win the Cy Young and who had 31 starts and who played quality baseball, and he is only going to get 192 innings. Like, that just goes to show where baseball is going. Because I'll tell you right now, like, this guy was dominant every day. It's not like he was getting taken out early.
No.
It was
7
like,
innings,
yeah, exactly.
time,
But it just goes to show where baseball is headed in the sense that, okay, you pitched 6 innings, like, time to go. And that does kind of suck because I do want to see the dominant starters out there with 200-plus innings. That just isn't the world that we live in anymore. But still, Tarik Skubal, hats off to you for having the best pitching season that I think we've seen in probably a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very entertaining. Very, very good. So shout out to Tarik Skubal. Let's go to our last segment here, and it's going to be presented by Greta Bar, everybody. Downtown Toronto, King Street West, over 50 arcade games. If you're looking for a place to go have a nice night out, play some arcade games, some vintage ones, some really cool ones too, like big games. There's like a Twister game, there's a Pac-Man game, super fun. And then as well, if you're looking to get some dinner, they got some cool bar food there. And then as well, they got a dance floor that opens up at nighttime. So go check out Greta. The final segment here, we're talking about that NL, I almost called it wild card game, but the doubleheader today, as we're recording this, between the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets, that's going to be some interesting ball. Hell, I'm going to throw it up in the background today as we're going through our day, because excuse me, there's a lot of implications that are going to come through with this game. I was hoping it would mean something because we were talking about the last episode of, depending on how things shape up, it could mean nothing or it could mean everything. It means everything, not only for these Braves and Mets, but for the Diamondbacks as well, Nick. What's going to happen today?
Well,
what's going to happen?
The Diamondbacks are in the worst possible spot because if you're the Arizona Diamondbacks, all you can do is sit on the couch, twiddle your thumbs, and hope for a sweep. That's right, folks. They need any team. They don't care. It could be the Braves, it could be the Mets, but they need that team to win 2 of 2 ball games today, which is going to be very, very difficult because from a Mets standpoint and a Braves standpoint, all you need to do is win 1. If Atlanta wins game 1 and New York wins game 2 or vice versa, both of them make the postseason. Whereas if Atlanta wins both or New York Mets win both, and of course the winner, the sweeper, will make postseason, and then also Arizona is going to make it as well. They're all going to be sitting at around 89 wins, and Arizona sadly does not have the tiebreaker for them. Just goes to show how much of an anomaly it was for them to make postseason at 84 wins.
Yeah,
because now they're at 89 wins, and they might not make it the season after that, which would certainly suck for them, but that's why you got to win 90-plus to punch your ticket. But this is obviously an incredibly, incredibly tight affair, and I do think that probably the lowest likelihood at this point is for Arizona to make the postseason because let's paint the picture. New York Mets win game 1. They have all their starters out there.
Great.
They punched their ticket. Sure, they could, they could really play hard and
we want to kill those Braves and really end their misery.
We want to play spoiler here and and knock the Braves out, and then also maybe we'll move up and we'll be the number 5th seed. I don't think that ultimately they care too much about that. If they win, whichever team wins game 1, I think you punt game 2.
You do. That's why they haven't determined the starters yet.
Yeah, like you're not playing your best guys. You're not throwing Frankie Lindor or Pete Alonso or whoever.
Chris Sale.
Yeah, none of exactly right. Like you're not throwing your best guys out there because it's just not worth the risk.
Save them for literally save them for tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's going to be the game 1 of the wild card series.
Exactly.
Why would you ever play a good game 2?
Yeah,
with all your good
that's
guys?
the thing, right? It's like not only are you risking injury, but like they will be fatigued because they've already played a game today.
And you're also, I believe you would be going. Yeah, either way, you're going on the road. You have to hit a flight that like after that game.
Yeah, dude.
You might as well just get all your starters on the flight now.
No, yeah, for real, man. Like if we win game 1, then all my guys who I care the most about. Boys, head on home. Yeah. Pack your bag. Get your stuff ready. We don't need to see you at the. No. You don't need to be in the dugout. Say bye-bye to your families. Yep. Do whatever you got to do. Yep. We'll see you at the airport at 9:30 or some shit.
I'll see you in Milwaukee or San Diego.
Yeah.
Go ahead, guys. Bye.
Yeah, exactly right. So I think for that reason alone, it is going to be very, very difficult for the Arizona Diamondbacks to make the postseason because it's going to be so difficult to get a sweep because the other team, whoever loses game 1, you don't have that luxury.
Man.
You're throwing everything out in game 2. You're throwing, your closers coming out in the...
It's a playoff game for you now.
Yeah, literally. Like, if you get into a tight moment in the 5th, your closer's coming. Like, you're playing, you're throwing all the stops out there to make sure that you secure your spot. So that's why it's going to be so difficult, I think, to sweep this series for either team.
And like I said off the top, I would just hate to be a Diamondbacks fan because of that fact right there where...
Yeah.
I feel like I'm screwed. I'm going to need a miracle.
Yes.
I'm going to need a miracle to come through. Like, the guys aren't playing for anything, and I need those guys to play for me. But they don't give a shit about me. No. It's awful, man. I mean, it sucks for the Diamondbacks, too, because, we wanted them to kind of go on another run again. Why not? It's the Diamondbacks. It's super fun and exciting. But honestly, I don't think it's going to happen, boys. Don't think it's going to happen this year.
It just does feel like the most likely outcome here is a 1-to-1 type thing. And then, again, like if you're Atlanta and you're New York, you're both happy about that because you're both going to be making the postseason. All that being said, though, I mean, crazier things have happened. Like maybe the, Atlanta Braves win game 1. They throw in their, prospects into game 2. And, well, hell, those guys go on a bit of a run. You never know. Like I'm sure that they would just love... they'd love it if they were able to stomp out the flame that is the New York Mets in the final game with their B team. Like that would be crazy.
Right.
However,
yeah.
I mean, I do. Again, I'm riding with you in the sense that it feels like the most likely outcome here is that both of those teams make it, and that sadly the Arizona Diamondbacks do not.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, who do you think's gonna win? I mean, it's so tight. In game 1 today, which is the one that matters effectively, you've got Spencer Schwellenbach going for the Atlanta Braves. He's been very solid this year. He's got a 3.47 ERA, 8-7 record with 122 strikeouts. Now, I'm trying to find out who actually – it looks like it might be Tyler McGill starting for those Mets. Tyler McGill's been – he's got a 3.98 ERA. So interesting strat. I don't know if that's just because it worked out. And I know Sean Manaea could be in this game as well, or in the next game.
And this is being played in Atlanta.
It's being played in Atlanta. Sorry, it's not Sean Manaea. They're going to play David Peterson if it needs to be in game 2, which is actually he's been pretty solid.
Really?
Yeah, that's what Fox Sports is saying right here. That's their probables.
He played yesterday.
That's what I'm reading off Fox Sports.
That's insane, man. In that case, I might have a chance in my fantasy matchup because he played yesterday for me.
Oh, did he?
I thought he did it. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but crazy if that's what they decide to do. Well, I mean, they'd really be pulling out all the stops if they did that.
Literally he played yesterday. Yeah, this can't be right.
Yeah.
It's got to be Sean Manaea, right? It's got to be Sean Manaea. Because that was the guy who was supposed to be lined up, unless they whipped him out, unless there was some game situation over the weekend where we just didn't he needed to play him.
Right.
I don't know. It should be Sean Manaea. That's why I thought it was Sean Manaea. It should be him. And he played on the 27th. I don't know.
Okay.
It feels like not a good pitching matchup situation for the Mets.
To me, the Atlanta Braves are a bit more put together than whatever's going on. Unless the New York Mets are doing some like wild shit, trying to like big brain it where they're not revealing their starter until the last possible second
because they haven't.
Atlanta can't get a game plan or something
because Atlanta's made it very clear. It's Schrellenbach and then Chris Sale game 2 if they need to be.
They need to have Chris Sale. That's
because Chris Sale hasn't pitched in 11 days.
Oh my goodness.
11 days since September 19th.
Wow. See, that's actually kind of scary for me.
Scary.
That's the type of shit where you do get out of your rhythm, and if you're if you're pitching game 1, it's that's kind of worrisome for me. Frankly, if I was the Atlanta Braves, I think I'd. Well, then again, you do want them for wild card.
That's the thing. You want them for the wild card.
It's a tough thing to navigate. Yeah, it's really a tough thing to navigate for both of these teams. Honestly, I know that there shouldn't be any tampering. There shouldn't be anything like that. But this is one of those nudge, nudge, wink, wink type thing where it's you win game 1, I win game 2. Let's just both go home happy type thing.
Yeah.
You can pitch your crap guys, we'll pitch our crap guys, and we'll both be ready to go tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
That's obviously not going to happen.
No, because the other team needs to win regardless.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, that's if you. Again, the best case scenario for both of these teams is we play in game 1 and game 2 the guys that we don't care about, and you win 1 and we win 1.
Let's just make it a deal. Let's both make it.
Yes, let's both make it.
Which I think, obviously there's no reason for them to do that.
No,
there's no reason because if you just win game 1, I don't give a crap what you're trying to do. Go ahead, burn all your guys.
Burn them all. That'll help us in the end of it. It'll help us, right?
So that is the situation right now. Where are you kind of leaning? Because I mean, obviously, pitching matchups mean everything. Both their teams, offensive-wise, have been pretty much around the same. Braves are 7th in baseball in OPS the last 30 days, and you got the Mets that are 12th. They're only 13 OPS points off of each other. But the Braves pitching has been the best in all of baseball.
Right.
So maybe that's a large part of this, their bullpen. So I feel like Braves got to win it, especially they have the momentum lately.
Well, I think I'm gonna give game 1 to the Braves. Again, Schwellenbach has been really, really good, and they have the home field advantage, and I do think that is an important factor. And then again,
after that,
I think it's going to be a game 2. You win if you're the New York Mets.
Yeah, because the Braves, regardless of if they lose the next game, or they win, they will have the number 1 or the number 5 seed.
Number 5
so it doesn't
seed.
matter.
They don't care. Yeah.
You're going to, I think it'd be, you're going to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter for you.
Exactly.
So
This game means legitimately nothing at all. So for you, if that's the case, if they win game 1, Ozuna, Albies, Harris,
chill.
You can head on home, boys.
Yeah,
We'll meet you at the airport, and that'll be that. So I'm gonna go. Atlanta wins game 1. New York Mets win game 2. They both make the postseason, and sadly, the Arizona Diamondbacks, are on the outside looking in at 89 wins. That's a dagger, dude. Whenever you don't make the postseason with a number kind of like that, it does suck. Especially when you look over the American League and you got a couple 86ers making it, but that's the way of it.
It happens. I mean, last year the American League was stacked, and then obviously on the NL side of things, you had the 84-win Diamondbacks making it. But that's just the way it goes.
No, I mean that's the thing. If you want to secure your ticket, you need 92, 93 wins, right? That's okay, you're gonna make it type thing. Anything less than when you get around that 90, 89, 88, it's there's always going to be that chance. There's always going to be that chance.
Out of your control, right? I still remember the Blue Jays when they won 90 in 2021, just brutal. And it came down to Boston winning over the Washington Nationals.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, at that point, it is a dagger. So Arizona fans, we feel for you. I feel for whichever team doesn't make it here because that is going to suck. But folks, let us know in the comments down below what you think about everything that we discussed today. Who is your favorite in the American League? We didn't really break down the full National League side of things just because there is still variables to be involved. But if you got a favorite over there, then let us know. Please hit the like, smash the subscribe button. We're going to be going live throughout this postseason for some various playoff games, potentially one tomorrow for the wild card series. And I imagine when news breaks as well, we might have some breaking news on this channel.
That's right.
Start to be covering a bunch of stuff going on there. So hit that subscribe button, folks. Stay tuned for the meteoric rise that is Bad for Baseball. We're going on a Detroit Tigers level run here, folks. We want you guys to be along with it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.
Cheers.